Send a call for help, not for monsters. The people of Vel-Tarun were simple. Their planet was green, peaceful, and full of life. They grew crops, raised animals, and lived in small villages. They never wanted war. But now, something terrible was happening. Small raider ships had started attacking their food transports. These raiders did not speak. They just came, took what they wanted, and left behind destruction. Every week more transports were lost. People began to starve. Children cried at night. The leaders of Vel-Tarun, known as the High Council, gathered in fear. They had no army, no warships. Their world had been peaceful for centuries. They did not know how to fight. So they made a decision. They would send a message into space, a distress call, a simple one. Please help us. We are under attack. We have no weapons. We are peaceful. We need aid. The message was sent on every frequency. Then they waited. Days passed. No answer. Some began to lose hope. But on the 6th day, a strange reply came. It was not from any known ally, not from the Trade Alliance, not from the Unity Pact. It came from a place few trusted. It came from Earth, from humans. The council members looked at each other in silence. The humans were new to the galaxy. Some called them wild, others called them dangerous. There were rumors, whispers of their homeworld. People said Earth was a death world, full of firestorms and deadly animals, a place where only the strong survived. Still, the council had no choice. Help was help. So, they accepted. The humans said they were sending support, not a fleet, not soldiers, just support. 3 days later, something dark appeared in their skies. The warning sirens screamed. Vel-Tarun sensors picked up a massive object entering orbit. Then another, and another. The sky filled with huge shapes, dark metal, sharp angles, engines that glowed like stars. There were no soft lights, no medical symbols, no relief ships, only warships. One elder cried, "This is not aid, this is an invasion." Panic spread across the capital city. Children were taken underground. Families rushed into shelters. The council gathered again, terrified. What had they done? Did they invite monsters into their home? A message came through their main channel. A human voice, calm and deep, said, "Vel-Tarun, we received your call for help. This is Earth Response Team Delta." No emotion, no smile, just cold, professional words. Council leader Rentala spoke into the mic with shaking hands. Why have you come with warships? We are peaceful. We asked for food, for protection, not destruction." The human voice answered simply, "We are the protection." Outside, people stared at the sky. The human ships didn't move. They just floated, watching everything. Their size was terrifying. The smallest one was bigger than the Vel-Tarun spaceport. Weapons could be seen on every surface, cannons, turrets, and something glowing red underneath one of the ships. In a small village, a child asked his mother, "Are they here to save us?" The mother could not answer. Back in the capital, the council didn't know what to do. Should they welcome the humans or hide from them? No one was brave enough to decide. But the humans didn't wait. One of their ships lowered something into the atmosphere. It was not a bomb. It was not a drone. It was a satellite. It spread across the sky and began sending waves across all communication lines. A simple message played again and again. Earth. Response team active. Do not interfere. The aliens were confused. Was this how humans helped? Council leader Rentala whispered, "We asked for help, not this, not monsters in the sky." But in another part of the galaxy, someone else was watching. The raiders who had been attacking Vel-Tarun picked up the human signal. They laughed. "More prey," their captain said. "Let's show these humans what real terror is." The human ships didn't respond to any messages. They remained silent. cold, waiting. That night, Veltarun slept in fear, not from the raiders anymore, but from their new allies. And yet deep inside the largest ship, Captain Ross stared at a screen. His voice was quiet. They asked for help, so we came. Let's show them what Earth's help really means. But what would that mean? Even the Council did not know what they had brought to their peaceful world. Why is a Deathworld fleet answering our message? No one on Veltarun slept well that night. Children clung to their parents. Farmers stood on rooftops, staring at the glowing warships above. Soldiers, who had never faced real war, gripped old weapons with shaking hands. Fear hung in the air like smoke. The human ships did not move. They did not send food. They did not land. They just hovered, dark, cold, and silent. Their lights blinked like watching eyes. In the council chamber, tension filled the room. We asked for help, said Council Leader Rentala, rubbing his hands together nervously. Why did Earth send a Deathworld fleet? No one answered. No one knew how to answer. The humans had said only one sentence. We are the protection. But what kind of protection comes in ships made for total war? An emergency meeting was called. The human fleet had sent a message, a request for one ship to land. It would bring a representative to speak. The council hesitated. What if this was a trick? What if they were about to lose their planet? Still, they agreed. What choice did they have? The next morning, a single human shuttle came down. Its engines were quiet, but the wind it made blew trees flat. The shuttle landed with a heavy thud. From it stepped Captain Ross. He was tall, strong, and calm. His face showed no emotion. His armor was clean, dark gray, with the Earth insignia on his chest. Behind him stood two guards in heavy suits. They didn't speak. They didn't even blink. Council Leader Rentala welcomed them inside with forced politeness. Thank you for answering our call, he said carefully. But we must ask, why this? Why so many ships? Ross looked at him, expression blank. We detected hostile activity in your region, pirate movements, unknown signals. We responded. The council looked at each other. With warships? Ross nodded once. That's standard. Another counselor, Lady Parn, leaned forward. You don't understand. We expected aid, food, maybe a few guards, not an armada. Ross tilted his head. This is aid. We are the response team. Someone at the table gasped. This is just your response team? Ross didn't smile. He didn't explain further. The council chamber fell silent. Some of them began to understand. Earth did not send diplomats first. They sent shields. And behind those shields were swords. Ross placed a small device on the table. It showed a map of the surrounding area. Red marks blinked across it. Pirate ships are gathering again, he said. Their numbers have increased. We believe they are testing you, seeing if your planet is weak, so we are here until the threat is removed. Rentala swallowed hard. And what if they run away? Ross's answer was quiet. They won't get the chance. Later that day, the human fleet adjusted positions. One of their warships turned slowly. A giant railgun pointed into space. It didn't fire, but its message was clear. Somewhere far away, a pirate scout saw the shift. He turned his ship around. Fast. Still, others were coming. Bold or stupid, no. One knew, but they came. Back on Veltarun, fear slowly changed. It was no longer the fear of death. It was the fear of power. The kind of power that could burn a moon in one shot. The kind of power that called this small task standard. That evening, a young Veltarun technician asked an older scientist, "Why would humans send such force for a tiny world like ours?" The scientist stared at the sky. Because they were born on a world where everything wants to kill them. They don't take chances. Captain Ross stood at the top of a tower, watching the horizon. His eyes didn't blink. His voice was steady. They asked for help, he said again. And no one, on Veltarun or beyond, yet understood what that help truly meant. Their smallest ship was bigger than our moon base, the children of Veltarun. Stop playing. No one told them to. They simply looked up and forgot how to smile. Above them, a shadow moved across the sky. One of the human ships slowly adjusted its orbit. It wasn't the largest ship in the fleet. In fact, humans called it their light frigate. But to the people of Veltarun, it looked like a floating mountain made of steel. It passed over the moon base and completely covered it from sunlight. Alarms went off in orbit. The base lost connection for 5 minutes because the ship was too big and its systems too strong. One engineer whispered, "It didn't even try to block us, it just exists." At the capital, the council stood at the edge of the landing platform as Captain Ross returned for another meeting. This time they had questions they couldn't hold back. Counselor Parn stepped forward. Her voice was firm, but her hands trembled. "Why is your smallest ship larger than our most advanced station?" Ross looked up at the ship drifting in, the distance. "That's the Verdict class, the lightest combat model we use. It's built to survive black hole radiation, deep space ambushes, and orbital firestorms." The council members stared at him, confused and afraid. Rentala asked carefully, "How many of those do you have?" Ross was quiet for a moment. "Just in this fleet? 6. Gasps filled the chamber. "6? Someone whispered. "But why?" "We are only being attacked by raiders. Small groups," Parn said. "Why would you send ships that can crush cities?" Ross gave a cold answer. "Because if raiders feel bold enough to attack peaceful planets, then someone more dangerous may be watching too." That sentence stuck in the minds of everyone. Someone more dangerous. What did he mean? Pirates were already too much for Veltarun. Were their enemies worse than them? As if to prove a point, a new signal came through. Human sensors picked up multiple ships entering the system, pirate ships coming in fast. They didn't know yet that Earth was here. They thought Veltarun was still defenseless. The council panicked. "Will they attack the cities? Should we run?" Ross simply touched his earpiece. A voice replied, "Targeting acquired, awaiting order." Ross gave one word: observe. High above the planet, one human warship moved forward. It didn't fire. It didn't warn. Instead, a hatch opened, and a squad of drones launched into space. Small, fast, glowing red. They shot forward like lightning. In seconds, the pirate ships were surrounded. From the surface, the people of Veltarun could see small flashes of light in the sky. Then silence. No explosion. No debris. Just gone. Back in the council hall, Ross received the report. Threat removed. No survivors. No planet damage. He looked at the council. "Your skies are clear." No one clapped. No one cheered. They simply sat in shock. "Lady," Parn whispered, "you didn't even send a real ship." Ross shook his head. There was no need. Somewhere in the room, a counselor whispered something no one wanted to say aloud. If this is how humans respond to raiders, then what do they do to real enemies? The question echoed in their minds. One child in the countryside drew a picture of the human ship. She made it black with red eyes and fire coming out the back. She showed it to her teacher and said, "This is the ship that ate the bad guys." And the teacher could not argue with that, because for the first time, Veltarun was truly safe. But they had no idea what price came with that safety, or what darkness might follow it. The raiders returned, and were wiped in seconds. They thought the humans were sleeping. That was their first mistake. In the dark edge of the star system, where sensors were weak and patrols were rare, a new wave of raiders gathered. Unlike the last group, these pirates were bigger, faster, and smarter. They had seen the first strike, heard whispers of what happened to the others, but they didn't believe it. No one believed in an enemy so strong that even victory was not an option. They told themselves it was lies, that Veltarun's people were just scared. that maybe the humans only had one or two powerful ships, so they came, 12 warships. Fast, sharp, cloaked. Their plan was simple: attack from the shadows, hit the surface, steal what they could, then vanish. But Earth's armada had no shadows. The moment the raiders entered the system, the humans knew. Not because someone saw them, but because their war AI was always watching everything. Inside the lead ship of Earth's fleet, a calm female voice echoed, "Unidentified hostile vessels detected. Probability of attack, 100%. Captain Ross stood without speaking. He didn't rush. He didn't shout. He simply tapped the console once. "Send the drones." No warning. Above Veltarun, hatches opened. Not on one ship, but on 6 at once. Dozens of hunter drones shot into the stars. They made no noise. They left no trail. They were invisible, fast and fully armed. From the surface, no one even knew a battle had begun. But high above, death moved like a whisper. The pirate fleet had no chance to react. Their systems crashed. Engines died. One by one, the ships vanished from the screen. The few who tried to flee were stopped by precision rail rounds that punched holes through their hulls. 12 ships entered the system. None left. It all happened in 38 seconds. Back on Veltarun, the humans sent a single message: threat neutralized. Continue normal operations. The council received the update and sat in stunned silence. It wasn't just the speed, it was the ease. The humans had treated this attack like a small task, like swatting flies, like brushing dust from a jacket. Lady Parn finally spoke, her voice hollow. That wasn't a war. That was cleaning. Captain Ross arrived a few hours later to speak with the council. They asked no questions. Not anymore. Rentala looked at him and said only one thing: "We are thankful." Ross replied simply, "This is what we do." But his eyes said something else. This wasn't special. This wasn't impressive. This was normal for humans. One council member, an old scholar, wrote in his journal that night, "We asked for peace. The humans gave us peace, but it came inside a cage made of fear." In a quiet village, a small boy saw the sky flash for just a second. He thought it was a shooting star. He made a wish. Please let the humans stay forever. But far away, in the dark corners of space, other eyes were watching, eyes that were not afraid of Veltarun, but they were starting to fear Earth. We were afraid of the wrong monsters. The planet was finally quiet. No more alarms. No more pirate signals. No more fear of raiders falling from the sky. For the first time in weeks, the skies above Veltarun were clear, but no one felt safe. Not truly, because even though the enemy was gone, the humans were still there. Their warships hung in orbit like silent beasts. They didn't speak. They didn't move. They only watched. And the people of Veltarun had started to wonder, who are they really here for? Council leader Rentala looked out the window of his tower and whispered, "We used to fear the ones who attacked us. Now we fear the ones who protect us." The truth was spreading like fire. The humans were not just strong. They were something else. Something older. Something colder. Deathworlders. That word had been whispered in the galaxy before, a term used to describe those from planets so dangerous, so violent, that survival itself was a fight every day. Earth was one of those worlds, maybe the worst of them. On Earth, children learned how to run from predators before they could walk. Their oceans had monsters. Their forests had poison. Their skies had storms that ripped buildings apart. Humans didn't just survive this world, they thrived in it. And now the same species that beat nature itself was flying through space with weapons made from its lessons. One young Veltarun scientist wrote a report. Their smallest ship can crack a moon. Their soldiers train in gravity 3 times stronger than ours. They grow up among beasts and bombs. And they call all of this normal. Back in the capital, Captain Ross met again with the council. His voice was flat as always, his answers short. Lady Parn finally asked what no one else would. Why do your people fight so easily? Why do you carry such weapons if you came only to help? Ross didn't blink. Because we know what the universe is. You're lucky. You live in peace. Most don't. We fight because if we don't, we die. And now that we are strong, we make sure others don't die either. There was silence in the room. Ross continued. This is not aggression. This is preparation. We don't strike first. But if you are hurt, and we are near, you will not bleed alone. Those words were powerful. But behind them was a promise both comforting and terrifying. Veltarun had never known war, and now it sat beneath a sky full of warriors. The people began to change. Children played quieter. Soldiers trained harder. Civilians learned emergency drills, and no one dared look at the ships in the sky for too long, because deep inside a question was growing. If this is their help, what happens if Earth becomes angry? In a small home near the ocean, a mother said to her son, "Don't fear the monsters who come with noise. Fear the ones who don't need to roar." That night, someone painted graffiti on a wall in the city center. It showed a human standing between Veltarun and a wave of fire. The words written below were simple. We were afraid of the wrong monsters. The true enemy saw the humans and fled. In the deep silence of space, not all threats come with noise. Some hide, some wait, some watch, and one of them had been watching Veltarun for a long time. Not the pirates. They were tools, wild dogs sent to test the fences. Behind them was something older, smarter, and far more dangerous. A shadow empire known only in whispers as the Pale Swarm. They never showed their faces. No records, no survivors, only patterns. Entire planets disappearing overnight. Signals going dark, moons left hollow. For years, Veltarun was below their notice. Peaceful, small, easy to steal when the time came. But that time never came, because the humans arrived first. The Pale Swarm saw the Earth fleet appear. They analyzed the ships, calculated the weapon power, studied the drone response, measured the decision speed of the war AI. Then they made their decision. Retreat, not attack, not probe, not even a test, just leave. The swarm ships turned. The attack plan was erased. They fled into deep space without a trace. A decision made not from weakness, but from ancient instinct. Because even monsters fear other monsters. And humans? They weren't prey. They were apex predators. Veltarun never knew any of this. They didn't see the enemy vanish. They didn't hear the war that never started. They only noticed that no new threats came. No pirates, no signals, not even rumors. For the first time in years, the galaxy went silent around them, and in that silence the humans finally spoke. Captain Ross stood before the council. His face was unreadable as always. "We detected a deeper threat," he said. "They've withdrawn for now." Rentala asked carefully, "What made them leave?" Ross paused for a moment. "They saw us," he replied. Simple words. But they landed like thunder. One counselor leaned forward, whispering, "You mean, they feared you?" Ross didn't nod. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. The truth was heavy in the room. For all their power, humans had never claimed to be conquerors. But those who knew real danger recognized them. Like animals in the wild who know when to back down. Veltarun had been a target. Now, it was a sanctuary. Not because of walls, but because of the shadow of Earth that covered it. A new signal, lit up across the galaxy, bouncing from one world to another. Not sent by humans. Not sent by Veltarun. It simply said, "The humans are watching. Choose wisely." In a village near the edge of the forest, a girl looked up at the stars. Her father sat beside her. "Why don't the bad ones come anymore?" she asked. He looked at the glowing dots above. "Because the sky has new eyes now. And those eyes don't blink. She nodded slowly. Are we safe now? He didn't answer. He just wrapped his arm around her and whispered, for now. Because deep down, everyone knew safety was not a gift anymore. It was a warning. They wanted peace, but now they have human protection. Peace returned to Veltarun, not because the enemy was defeated in battle, not because treaties were signed, not even because weapons were traded. Peace came because the galaxy got quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that only follows when something terrifying steps into the room, something so powerful that even your enemies forget how to breathe, and the humans, they had become that silence. The council stood outside the capital's great tower, watching the Earth ships begin to rise. The mission was complete. There were no more signs of threats. Veltarun was secure. Now the human armada was leaving just as suddenly as it had arrived. No celebration, no farewell speeches. Just steel giants vanishing into the clouds. Council leader Rentala stepped forward as Captain Ross arrived for one final report. You brought protection, Rentala said slowly, but you also brought fear. Ross gave a small nod. Sometimes, they are the same. The council offered gifts, gold, food, even a place to build a base. Earth accepted nothing. Ross shook his head. We didn't come for rewards. We came because we heard someone call for help. Lady Parn looked at him. And what happens now? Ross turned his eyes to the sky. You're under Earth's watch now. We don't place flags. We don't build towers. But if anyone tries to hurt you again, we'll be back. And next time we won't come quietly. With that, he left. The humans were gone within the hour. The skies of Veltarun were blue again. The stars looked smaller. The silence returned. But something had changed forever. The people walked differently now, more alert. Not afraid, but aware. Children now pointed to stars and said, that one leads to Earth. Soldiers trained harder, inspired by what they saw. Artists carved statues of armored giants, silent guardians who came without asking. And all across the galaxy the message spread. Earth doesn't send diplomats first. Earth doesn't threaten. Earth doesn't boast. But if they show up, pray they're on your side. Because when Veltarun cried for help, they didn't get aid. They got the human armada, and somehow that's what saved them.